Okay, so here's my regular yeast. Sometimes I buy it at the store because it's right. It's a dry yeast, but it's more fresh. This you make sure that it's not an old one. And again, you're going to test it. If it's not working, you'll know right away, and you got to get another yeast. Otherwise, your bread won't rise. So this is about, you can put 2 or 3 teaspoons. It doesn't really matter. You want to put at least 2 teaspoons. If you put 3 teaspoons, it won't change your bread. 2 teaspoons. Okay, so 1 and 2. And here's what I mean by the yeast will respond. You see, it's starting to have a little bit of bubbles. And in a few minutes, you're going to see it get more foamy. That's what you want. But for now, I put it aside. In fact, you don't have to do this ahead of time. I do it because I want to make sure that my yeast is working. So I'm going to set it aside and start working on my dough. So my dough is very simple. 1 cup of water, doesn't have to be warm, just a cup of water. And you see, yeah, let me just make sure you can see. 1 cup of water, 3 tablespoons olive oil. I like extra virgin, of course. And I apologize, but I see that there are questions and comments, but I can't see them because the camera is not facing me. But I will look at them in a minute. So 3 tablespoons olive oil. And here it's also important. Flour is very finicky, I would say, because sometimes flours have been sitting in the store too long or even in your pantry too long, and they get dense sometimes when it's humid. So I recently had an exchange with Giuseppe from the Great British Baking Show. He's my idol, and he talked to me. He texted me. I mean, he talked to me on Instagram, and I was all flustered and happy. But he was saying he's amazed that we here in the United States do everything with cups. Over there, it's all about measuring because you want that precision. Well, this is where your bread could have a little problem because your dough changes. Your flour could be, not fresh or whatever. So I also have it as grams, but I will show you how I measure the flour so it's not, when you put it in your cup, it's not, packed and dense. I'll show you how kind of light you have to be when you do it. So let me pour this. Okay, so I start with whole wheat pastry flour. Wait, so before I tell you a little bit about, you notice I'm not packing it, and there is this top here. I'm going to just put my finger through. I don't want it to be packed and add more. It's just that's perfect. I have the gram measure I could put on my recipe if you prefer. 1 cup whole wheat pastry flour to start. 2 cups whole wheat pastry flour. So whole wheat, and you notice again, I was very light, and then boom. Okay, 2 cups whole wheat pastry flour. I love whole wheat pastry flour because it has the fiber and the goodness of whole wheat flour. It has, I think, 2 grams fiber per 100 calories, which is good. But it doesn't have that coarseness. I don't want a coarse, heavy whole wheat bun. I want a soft, fluffy whole wheat bun. And so soft wheat pastry flour, whole wheat pastry flour is wonderful. If you don't have soft wheat pastry flour, you can use whole wheat white flour. That works too. I suppose you could use white flour, but then you don't have as much fiber. And then you kind of have to have a feel for what the dough is supposed to feel like. So far, 2 cups whole wheat pastry flour, 1 cup white flour. And again, I'm not um, making it too dense, too packed. Oh, I'm missing a little bit here. Okay, 1 cup. And then 1/3 cup gluten. Now, gluten, it's one of those things that people say, oh, gluten and gluten free has been equal to healthy. No such thing. Gluten is not good for you if you're gluten sensitive, right? If you're allergic to gluten. But if you're not, gluten is, there's nothing wrong with it. And in fact, in these soft wheat buns, they create that moisture and elasticity that I love. So I'm going to put 1/3 cup gluten. You know, it's like saying peanuts are not healthy. No, peanuts are not healthy when you're allergic to them. Peanuts are perfectly healthy. So same thing, not too not packed. And I'm going to put my finger here and make sure that it's not too much. So let me put it in my bowl. And the other thing you need is a hook for your pastry mixer. Now, if you don't have a hook and you don't have one of those, you can make your bread with your hands. There's nothing wrong with it. It's been done for centuries. There's no question that you can do it by hand. It makes it easy this way. And so I'm showing it to you this way. And this is how I always do it. So watch. At first I start slow so it doesn't put flour all over the place. And then I start increasing. Let me look at the questions while I wait. You'll see it's going to create a ball. The volume is off, set turn on my end. Are you hearing me, guys? Because somebody said it was mute. Oh no. Can you hear me? No, I shouldn't be mute. Essential. Guys, can you hear me? I'm assuming you can hear me. Let me lift it a little bit so that I have everything. Oh, you know what I forgot? I was wondering. I forgot to put the yeast. And look how beautiful the yeast is now, right? You see it? It's bubbly, right? And it's thick. And I'm going to put it in there. There we go. Now I mix it. I'd love for one of you to tell me, oh, good. Thank you. I'm loud and clear. Yay. I thought I was talking to nobody for a second. So let me show you what's happening here. It's going to create a ball. But you see how forgiving it is? I was talking so much, I forgot to put the yeast in. And you know something is wrong when you do that because it was just too dry. Let me show you the ball. It's starting to form. I increased the speed a little bit. I love it. See? All the dough is coming together on the hook. I'm going to show you. See? And I'm going to do it one more time. One more time. And it's a little sticky. You want it a little sticky, but then I'll tell you what the consistency that I love, that I know everything is all right. Oh, that's nice. Nice, nice. Let me get whatever it's called, torchon. I forget how it's called in English. A rag or something. Okay. So here is the dough. You saw how easy that was, and I was talking the whole time, so I made it look like it was longer than it actually was. So what I like to do is, let me show you. It's a little sticky, right? A little sticky. You don't want it that sticky. You want, you can, if it's a little sticky like that, and often it is, you put just a little sprinkle of flour on your hands. And that's it. And don't over flour because, oh, it's wonderful. Because when it rises, it's going to be very easy to manipulate, to handle. Look, see already? Look at this beauty. You can feel that it's just soft. And again, it sticks a little bit. That's okay. Let it be. And I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of flour here and let it rise. The reason why I sprinkle a little flour here is because I'm going to let it rise. And I don't want it to stick to the walls. I want it to rise and be free to rise. So I'm going to cover it. And we're going to move on to the other part of the kitchen where I'm going to show you my prior dough that I made that has had time to rise. So give me a second. Let me move this. Wait, I have to wash my hands for a second. Can you see me over here? Yeah. So I'm going to cover this and let it rise for about a half hour. But of course, we don't have time for that. Actually, half hour, we will have time. I'll show you what it looks like because I'm going to be making my Tuscan bean soup. Let me wash my hands and then I'll show you what I did with my prior dough that has had time to rise. Just a second. I hope you feel like I do. And it feels like we're spending this afternoon together in this cozy kitchen where while it's raining outside. I'll show you how just so raining and gray, but we're warm inside, which is great. Okay, so let me show you now what I'm going to do here with the dough that I made prior. Okay, so this is a dough we just made. You see it's pretty low, and I'm going to let it rise. This is a dough that I made half an hour ago for you guys so that I can bake it for you, show you everything that I do. Look at it. Isn't it beautiful? You can see it's fluffy and high and just perfect. That's the time that you want to handle it. So look at this. It's just beautiful. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put a little flour here. Always very little because you don't want to make that tough. It's a perfect consistency. You just don't want to stick to the table. I usually make these for my burgers, my vegan burgers. So I make it in 6 buns. Today I'm going to make it in 8 so that they bake a little faster so you can see it from beginning to end. And I also use this dough without any salt. Did I put the salt? I forgot to put the salt. That's okay. It'll be delicious. This one I remembered the salt. 3/4 teaspoon salt. I make it, this is a dough for my cinnamon buns. Again, I make it vegan. Oh my goodness, they're fluffy and soft and coming out of the oven. It's a real treat for my guests and for us. Okay, so here's a dough, and I'm going to do it in 4 buns. I mean, in 8 buns. So first 4, about equal, so that they all rise equally in the oven. And again, my apologies for not being able to see your comments. I promise I will answer them when you are on replay. But here's what you do. You just make a little ball. I like to kind of handle it so that it's just perfect. Okay? And I put it on a baking sheet with a little parchment paper. There's something very peaceful, I think, about making bread, smelling bread, eating bread, especially right out of the oven. So I hope you're enjoying this as much as I am. I like to put them close to one another because when they rise, they're going to touch one another. And I love that, you'll see when they bake, you kind of have to tear them from one another. I love that. When I do my burgers, I don't do that because I want my burgers to be independent of each other. So here. There. And later, those of you who are a fan of my husband, Dr. David Katz, he is going to make a cameo appearance, I hope. Um, when it smells so good in the kitchen, you know he shows up. He loves those soft wheat buns. Um, so let me put that here. Whoop, this one, I don't like that. I'm going to make it a little bit more smooth. Again, it's very, very forgiving, but I like them to look pretty uniform. Okay, and don't worry, we're going to have plenty of time to make my Tuscan white bean soup. That's the beauty of that soup. So delicious and so perfect with those soft wheat buns. Okay, so what I want to show you, what you can do at this point, if you're vegan, you just cover and let it rise for, I don't know, 10 minutes. But if you don't mind and you're only vegetarian, I like to glaze them with not glaze them, just put a little egg wash, which is just an egg. And it actually won't be a full egg. Oh, I forgot my fork. An egg that you beat and that you will brush on top. What it does, it's not necessary. I like it because it looks beautiful and shiny when it comes out of the oven. Again, you can skip this stage. Okay, and then I just brush on a little bit of the egg on each of them. When we do the interactive cooking classes online together, this is when we can talk to one another. You can interrupt each other, me, and actually have a real cooking class together. Here, I don't hear you. I just have to read you. And of course, when I'm busy doing this, I can't. And to tell you the truth, I don't want to touch my phone too much. I'm afraid something bad is going to happen with technology, like it will freeze or something. I don't know. I've had such experiences in the past and it kind of freaked me out. So let's just leave this aside. I'm just going to cover it a little bit, kind of loosely, because now you have the egg on top. And let's go make our Tuscan white bean soup. So my Tuscan white bean soup. Now, I think the name alone tells you how yummy it is. But I just love it. It's one of those soups that I make all the time because you'll see it comes together very fast and it's always delicious. So first thing first is we're going to saute some shallots, or you can use some regular onions. It doesn't matter. And we're going to add some garlic. I like to use 4 cloves of garlic. I love garlic. It smells so good, and it gives this a wonderful taste. So it's about 3 tablespoons. In other words, you want to just coat your pan. And I'm going to dice can you see it? Yeah. Do it a little bit closer for you. Yeah. I'm going to dice my shallots. Here I have 4 shallots, I think. Again, very forgiving. If you want more onions, you can do more shallots. If you want to do onions, you can do onions. The idea is some of that wonderful pungent onion and garlic is really great. And you can't do too much. You can do too little because it won't be as delicious. But yes. So you notice I'm not being very careful how I chop them because I choose to blend a little bit of my soup, not all, because I still like the chunks of the beautiful beans to appear, but some of this will disappear in the soup when I blend it. So I've heated the oil, and I'm going to add my shallots, and I am going to press my garlic. Can you see? Actually, I don't love this garlic press. I'll use the other one after this. If I have it, if it's not in the dishwasher, let me see. Yep, it's in the dishwasher. Okay. What did I make yesterday with it? I don't know. I don't remember. But anyway. Oh, I know. I made my stuffed bread with a TVP bolognese. Oh, I recommend you look at my Instagram, because that too, that's a stuffed bread. Use the same dough. And then the way that I stuff it, it's just beautiful to see, if I say so myself. It's not, um, just, it's not because I'm boasting. It's just a pleasant thing to look at, folding a bread onto a stuffing. And I have a particular way of doing it. So look at my Cuisinicity Instagram. You'll love it. And I have it on, do you remember? La 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 la, September. I love that. I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. Okay. So I'm just getting a little, I don't know, singing and off the topic. Okay. So let me make sure I don't have anything. Okay. So you just saute it for a little bit, not very much, just enough for it to be a little soft. Then I like to put my spices. Turmeric. Turmeric is a wonderful spice. It doesn't have a lot of flavor, but it's wonderful for your health, and it's also wonderful for the beautiful, vibrant color that it gives. So I have the exact measurements, measuring on Cuisinicity, and I put it on the description below, so you can go and look at what I exactly, if you want it. But I can be quite liberal with my turmeric. A little bit of thyme, or herbe de Provence, and rosemary, and of course bay leaves. I love bay leaves. They smell so good. So 1 or 2. Okay, 3. Okay, then I'm sauteing it. Already the house smells so good. And don't let me forget, in a few minutes, I'm going to put my buns in the oven. So yet I want you to see them once they're baked. Then I like 15 ounces, a small can of diced tomatoes. You can use unsalted or regularly salted, but if you have salt in them, you won't be adding as much salt to the soup. This one has a little sodium, so I won't be adding very much salt. Got it? So here are my tomatoes. And of course, white wine. I'm French, what can I say? Now, the white wine gives it a wonderful, wonderful taste, and it gives it, I think, that Tuscan or Southern French taste. If you don't drink alcohol, if you don't want alcohol, although it evaporates, but you don't do that, you could use white wine vinegar, just not as much, probably, half a cup. With a regular white wine, any white wine, I like a dry white wine, 1 cup. So 1 cup. Oh, it gives it such a flavor. But you wouldn't be surprised, because I'm a Frenchie. Of course I'm going to put white wine. Okay, or red wine in some of my things. But for here, white wine is perfect. So now come the beans. I have 3 large cans of white cannelli beans. You can use other beans, but I love the white beans for this soup. It's rustic and delicious, and very good for you. I mean, talk about the fiber and the protein. This is perfect. So I'm going to put all of those. One thing I wanted to say. If you have a blender, you can, at the end, I'm going to show you, I like to puree them a little bit so that it's thick. But if you don't have to. First of all, you can just, you'll see my soup can go without being pureed a little bit. Or you can kind of smash them, which is a very pleasant feeling, some of them, so that it'll give it the thickness when you put it in there. But let me show you. So now I'm going to put it in there. Of course, some fell on the floor. That's me. And now I'm going to put the water. Look how already it's coloring the beans with that beautiful, vibrant orange turmeric. So now I add water, about 6 cups. Here there are 4, so I'm going to have to add a little bit more. And while I do, I'm going to rinse my hands. So 2 more cups. Can you see it? Yeah. 2 more cups. So it's about 6 cups. Yeah. And that's it. Oh, I'm going to put a little salt. Oh, my goodness. And this is going to simmer. Let me put a little salt. And some pepper. Let me put a little ground pepper. No, it's me, guys. Nobody knocked. It's me. The doggies. My 3 doggies. It's okay. You hear that cock-a-doodle-doo? That's Tajin. She thinks she's a rooster. Okay, so I'm going to cover this. And let's go back to our soft wheat buns that we're going to put in the oven now. The oven, let me wash my hands again. So the oven is on 400 degrees. I like it nice. It's a convection oven. I like it nice and hot, especially today because I want to make sure that it bakes right for you on time. You can do 375, but I like 400 because it kind of gets them and then they get really soft inside. So let's look at my buns here. Oh, you know what? Here they are. And I'm going to take them, put them in the oven. Come with me. I told you this would be a little tricky, but not a mission impossible, like I said on my email, right? You know me. Nothing is impossible in the kitchen. Okay, I'm going to put it in the oven, preheated, of course. And I'm going to wait, I think, bake them for 15 minutes. I can't wait for you to see them when they come out. So in the meantime, I'm going to show you, remember that dough we made at the beginning? It should have risen. Let me go get it. Let's see. We'll uncover it together. Let's look. Oh, not as much as the other one, but you can tell, I think I need to do it a little longer. I guess a full half hour. But can you tell, remember how sticky it was? It's not sticky anymore because it has air in it. It's just, it smells so good. I'm going to let it rise a little longer. It didn't have enough time. It will double its size. Let me put it aside. So we're back to our Tuscan bean soup. And let me just, I wonder if some of you couldn't hear me. I don't know why that would be. I hope you could hear me say all this stuff because there was so much that I told you. Because I'm passionate about this. I love to impart how easy it is to do things in the kitchen. Of course, I'm explaining, so it goes a little longer than it would when I do it. I'm running around, but it's doable. If you have the right ingredients, it's doable. And I'd love to do it with you and see what obstacles you might have. because they are surmountable. They're easy. I wasn't trained as a chef. I have, I don't know how many hours and hours of experience in my own kitchen, and I have now presented in um, culinary kitchens and restaurants and venues. Uh, but I'm not a chef, and I want to convey that you don't have to be a chef to be able to cook beautiful things and delicious things and healthy things for your family. So let's see what how we're doing here. Let me. Mm, it smells so good. Let's see. Oh my goodness. So it should cook some more, and the liquid is going to evaporate a little bit. But because we're here together, I want to show you what I can do, and what I often do is I like to use one of those sticks to blend it a little bit. You can also just scoop a little bit and put it in your blender, or like I said, you can mash the beans a little bit as you put them, or you don't have to do anything. And but I do like it a little thicker. So if you don't have any of these gadgets, you can put about 2 or 3 tablespoons of cornmeal, and it will thicken it and also add to the nutrition and to the taste. But today I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to blend it some of it, not all of it. I do want to have some of the beans left. That's it. That's all I want. And I'm going to show you what happens. Oops, I need to simmer this. Where's my, oh, there. Look at this. It gives it that creaminess. Oh my goodness. Oh, it smells so good. It's just delightful. It's going to become a little thicker as it simmers, but that's it. So I think I'm done with showing you the main thing. I just want you to stay here while we wait for the bread to rise and to show you how fluffy and delicious it is. And you dip this in your soup. Ooh, is that good? Good, good. Let me see. Let's see if I have any questions from anybody. Now would be a good time. If you have questions, I can see them because I'm looking right at the camera. And but really, so today I will have made 2 batches of soft wheat buns. One that's in the oven, one that I have to wait for to rise. And again, you'll see I roll it into little balls, let them rise, put them in the oven 15 minutes. Um, the other and let it cool, of course, before you start biting into it. The other thing I wanted to say, yes, and so yeah, the other thing I wanted to say is that once they're cool, you can freeze them in a you know in a Tupperware, and they are just as delicious when you unfreeze them. When you defrost them 2 weeks later, and there you are. Oh, I have homemade bread over here, which is great. Oh, how much yeast? I use 2 teaspoons of yeast. You can use 3 teaspoons. It's dry yeast, and I do it in a half a cup of warm water. By warm, I mean tepid, not hot because you will kill the yeast, and just a pinch of sugar. Here, I put a 1/4 teaspoon sugar. Um, Delicious. You know what I'm thinking with this dough here that I have? Remember, I forgot the salt, which is okay because it's going to rise just as well. I'm going to use it for my soft wheat buns. And I can tell you a little bit about that because, oh, are they good? And again, it's great. This dough, you can make it with, for burger buns, soft wheat buns to have, with your soup. Um, You can make it for stuffed bread, which again, watch the Instagram. It's so beautiful to watch the way that I stuff the bread so that it doesn't. The bread inside is also just as well baked as the stuffing. You'll see what I do. It's like a lattice, and I also make it for my soft wheat, my cinnamon buns. And what I do there is I just lay it flat. I roll it out, and I put a little vegan margarine melted, not very much, with a mixture of brown sugar, cinnamon, crushed walnuts, and that's it. And I spray it on top. Then I roll the lengthwise. I roll the dough, the flat dough, like this. I have to show you. If you're interested, I will do a live for you, or even a one of my classes, because that's fun to make. And then you just cut them in slices, and there you see the beautiful swirl of the cinnamon that's inside with the walnuts. Um, then you bake it. You let it rise, and you bake it. And then when it comes out of the oven, you create this frosting. And the frosting that I use is tofuti cream cheese. So it's a vegan cream cheese. I love it. That I melt a little bit with, again, a little vegan butter or margarine. I like Earth Balance, and a little confectioner sugar, and the rest of the sweetness comes from a squeezed orange. And so I melt that together and mix it, and then pour it over the hot baked cinnamon buns, and it just, oh, it's so good. And then you have to be patient and wait for it to cool off so that you can eat it. But it's a great brunch, you know, treat to welcome your guests. I love that. So let me see if it's still not long enough for me to take out the buns. Let me look at them for a second. I can take you with me just so you can see what I'm going to see. Let's see. Woo! Almost. Did you see? I'm going to open it again. Make sure that you saw. They're not quite done, but almost. Because you don't want any doughiness inside. But I can't wait. I can't wait. I'm being impatient. Hey, David! Oh, my David, I don't know what he's doing. I think he's outside. So I don't know if he's going to show up for us. Let me taste this. And this is when you what you call correct your seasoning. See if you need a little bit more pepper or a little bit more salt. Sometimes I love to add garlic powder. As much garlic as I put, you can never have too much. Garlic powder is nice. But let me see. Oh my God, I need a little bit more salt. And again, better to have less salt and then you add it to your liking than to have too much at the beginning, both for your taste and also for your health. You don't want too much sodium. Oh my goodness. Once it cools, you're not going to see all that foam. It's going to be more creamy. And then I'm going to serve it in this cute little terrine, whatever it's called. Where is it? Where's my ladle? Well, I'll use another ladle then. Isn't that cute? And it makes it that much better, that much more real. Like it's a Tuscan bean soup, you know, that you got at the country, in the country tavern. Let me add more beans again. Normally, I wait for it to cool down a little bit. Oh, goodness. And there we go. Okay, let me take the buns out. I'll turn this off. And cover it. me see if there are any more questions. Please ask me questions because I'm watching now. I'm paying attention. Let me get the buns out.
Ooh, that smells good.
Woo! There is my David. I told you he comes when it smells so good.
It smells great.
Wait, I'm about to take him out of the oven.
So I should get out of the
Yeah,
way.
no, I
I
want you to
should stay?
see and
Okay, good.
smell. Right? Doesn't it smell so good?
I
Yes, and we have the Tuscan bean soup.
The food too.
Oh, oh my goodness! Look at these. Look at these. I think they need a little bit more baking, but I just want to show you. And I'm going to put them right back. Doesn't that smell so wonderful? Right? Especially on a blustery day. But oh, it's going to be hot, so I'm going to.
Nutrition questions come up?
Oh,
You get it covered.
look at this. Oh my God, they're so light and fluffy. You see what I mean? Where they tear from one another. I got this.
See ya.
Bye. We get to eat it tonight. Anyway, there we got. There you have it. I'm going to put it in my basket and let it cool. And whoo! I don't know if I think they're perfectly done. Oh my God. Let's see, let me see. I think they're perfectly done. So, what can you see? And there you have it. Tuscan bean soup and soft wheat buns on a rainy day. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Bon appetit!